Добрый день.
Good morning. I want to thank everybody who joins us. My name is Alla, and it's my pleasure to see everybody joining us in Ukraine Media Center. Today is day 943 of the full-scale invasion of our homeland by a Russian aggressor. It's been 11 years of the war, and today we start our day with an important conversation. We will be talking about reconstruction. Today we are going to have a presentation of the expert database called Joining the Community for Informed Commentary. And we will talk about the ways to join this network, this community. So let me introduce our speakers. Joining us today in the studio are Anastasia Rudenko, co-founder and coordinator of the Recovery Window Network, Danilenkov, head of the non-media partnerships of the Recovery Window Network, Maryna Klimchuk, head of the media partnership at the Recovery Window Network, and Alla Petrenko-Lysak, expert of the Recovery Window Media Network. Good morning. Just a couple of words of introduction about the media network. The Recovery Window Media Network started working in January this year. The goal was to join media organizations, civil society organizations, and analytical centers to tell about the recovery of the damaged regions in the joint platform. So let's talk about the database as a product. And Ms. Anastasia, let me give the floor to you for the presentation of the database. And before you proceed to the introduction, just a couple of words about the goal. What was it built for? Who is going to need it in their work? And so on. Here we go. Good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here in Ukraine Media Center. Hello, everybody. Big Ukraine Media Center is again one of our partners, and it's a good illustration of our approach because we are trying to reinforce our partners, to empower them to create synergy when we come to each other, empowering each other. So thank you for that. The Recovery Window Network is a new phenomenon in the market. We are a little bit more than half a year old, but we have crossed the line of 100 organizations joining us. They represent local independent media, 65 media in the network, and we joined to cover the recovery progress, but we understand the recovery on a large scale, not only as a reconstruction of a material facilities, but the whole pool of social processes and issues, everything related to the people. Recovery of capacity to mitigate the consequences of Russian aggression. So in this picture you can see only a part of our partners, only those logos that could fit in this slide, but all of those organizations have passed thorough selection and due diligence because we were controlling everybody by a number of criteria. We want the network to be a network of trustworthy organizations. That's exactly why you can see those criteria that the organizations should comply with. And what we do, just a couple of words, because you were asking whom is the database for. So we analyze the journalists, the experts, we monitor the process, and our task is to saturate the media space with the high-quality materials about the recovery process. We are telling it the way it is. We counter Russian narratives that they are trying to spread both inside Ukraine and outside Ukraine, about Ukraine being the failed state and so on and so forth. By this work of the journalist, we demonstrate that recovery is going on, is there, and what are the current problems, because if we keep anything under the wraps, those problems are only going to grow. And our cooperation format is us being the aggregator of information and materials about recovery. The fact that we've gathered the expert pool and the media pool that are trustworthy, and we also establish sectoral capabilities that build capacity of our partners. We are just over with the first step, the educational program of our partners, for our partners, excuse me. So that's what we do. We are building capacity, we're building the community. From the point of view of media community, we understand we work here for half a year, and within this half a year of the operation of the media network, we got a coverage of more than 12 million consumers, and the goal of our work is to be the joint window, the aggregator, but at the same time those materials are being published in the platforms of our partners. So the media from Kherson, Sumy region, Kryvyi Rih, they publish those materials in their platforms because they're recognizable by their audience, but we repack them, we add them to the aggregator, thus empowering each other. And what I would like to add, again, to focus on it now, presenting this expert database, we want to stress it, that we understand the topic of recovery as all those huge pool of issues that is going to help Ukraine to become stronger. It includes education, healthcare, bringing our citizens back. Because why reconstructing a kindergarten if we know that there will be no one to attend it? So we have to look at recovery at a broad level. We have to work tactically and in a visionary way. That's why we're convinced that media are supposed to be the driver of this process, but at the same time, again, those are the examples of the materials that we prepare. I would like to say that within this short period of operation of our media network, we are humbled by the fact that the government agencies also noticed our work, and we were added to the roadmap of recovery that was developed by Ministry of Culture and Information Policy. And finally, we come to the fact that one of the opportunities that we offer to our partners is the expert database. Let me stop here to pass the floor to our team, of experts, and I want to stop here at call to action. So if you want to become a partner of the media network, this option is available. Please visit our website and submit an application for our review. And also, if you want to become an expert, let us tell you how to do it a little bit later. So, good morning, everybody. My name is Maryna. I'm the head of the media partnerships in the recovery window, and I'm humbled to be there. It's extremely important to me personally, because recently you've become our partner, and the value of a network is that if we're looking for mentors, for experts, for our programs, we're first looking through our networks. So it's a pleasure to establish this partnership and start this networking today. We are happy to be a part of this partnership as well. Well, so Nastya decided I should talk about our achievements with the partners, but what I want to say is that 1 month ago we presented this database among our partners for the first time. It was an online meeting. We organize meetings, such coordination meetings like that with our partners, to be on the same page, to be aware of what's going on in their regions, the state of affairs, so to say. And one of the meetings was dedicated to our conversation about expert database, how should journalists cooperate with the experts, and the other way around. And those achievements that you are about to see you can be sure that everything was written with their own hands. It was not like us who have come up with those elusive rules. So this is what we are going to tell you about. And the first key phrase, the first insight that we've realized during that meeting, one of our journalists said that a journalist can never be more ready than an expert, so both parties should take it into account during a conversation. I think it's quite eloquent. So what makes an expert an expert? So here you see a number of criteria that was developed by our partners. So first is experience. So it's not only about education. Yes, education is important, but we know a lot of cool media experts who have no media education. So they stated here that experience is important for them, mostly rather practical than theoretical. Then accessibility, the fact that you can knock on the expert's door to get a comment. And what's also important, after you got the comments, the experts have an opportunity to respond quickly and to be open for any additional questions, because as we know, after you decipher all those comments, you want to know more details, you want to ask more questions. So it would be cool that this accessibility and availability would make an expert an expert. Then the rate of citation, the expert should be mentioned in a number of sources to be published in a number of websites. So unbiased attitude and biased attitude, it's about what we are supposed to know during our work with the experts. Do they represent someone else's interests? They can be good experts in recovery, but they may at the same time represent some political party, say. You should be ready for that. And you should answer this question for you, whether your media is ready to work with an expert like that. The unique nature of expertise is not citing or quoting someone else's thoughts or ideas, and also whether they refer only to their own opinion or someone else's thoughts. And the next slide, please. Well, it doesn't quite work. No, it's okay. So what are the concerns of the experts and media people? So there was a mixed group of representatives of different organizations, and we discussed what is of their concerns. For example, what is of experts' concern? That they don't get enough time to prepare, they are being hurried, or they are not being provided the final deadline before which they should provide the comment. Then when the final text is not coordinated, but again, it's a matter of everyone's choice how to work in this case. And what is of concern to the media is the narcissism of the experts, their arrogance of the experts. This meeting was really important for us. We would like to pass this information further on, to communicate it as materials, to make sure that our partners communicate it to the others, that the people share that information which is of their concern. Well, that's it on my end, and let me pass the floor to Roman. Yes, Roman, please. Good morning, everybody. So let me show you the way it happens in our website. So basically, this is the website of our media network. If we reconstruct the whole way, you can read on our website everything that we've already mentioned today. And in the header of our website, there is this category, the experts. Let me emphasize it right away that this category is closed for non-registered users. the reason behind it is because the experts can respond to our partners, but they cannot technically respond to everybody because their number of requests sometimes is excessive. So we've made this option for users who can sign in and proceed to the section of our website which is partly closed or like not open for everybody. So as we visit this page, you can see the catalog of our experts, a lot of vibrant personalities, many names, many specializations, and to find an expert who specializes in the topic of our interest, we can either choose by category or use the search option. Category is right about that recovery in a broad sense that my colleague was talking about, when we don't only talk about the reconstruction but recovery in a broad sense. And when we come to these categories, we can see a number of topics. Let's pick one, for example, energy. For example, energy, or for example, ecology, or for example, security. Depending on the topic, it can be either expert or expert organization. Our partners sometimes say that we have many experts who specialize in different topics. You can see them by category. Now there is a little bit less than 60 experts in our database, but their number is going to grow, both of the individual experts and organizations. And in this category, as we see, this is not a comprehensive list. We have way more of them. We keep looking for more experts and we invite them to join us. The number of categories is going to grow depending. Well, in this topic, by the way, you can see a familiar face. And the search works as well. If you're unable to find an expert by category, you can try to find an expert using the search option. If you still cannot find an expert because it's only the start of the project, then we have this convenient button here. We have quite a convenient website, by the way. So you click here, I was not able to find an expert, and you may leave your request here. Probably we really haven't covered the topic of your interest so far. And then talking about experts, as you click on the expert itself, you get their contacts, their email or the telephone number, and the partners can get in touch with them directly, not through us, but directly, to make sure everything happens in a quick way. If an expert doesn't respond, you can click this button right here, and we will help you to reach out to that expert. And basically, it's for those who want to find the expertise, those who want to provide the expertise. There is again another convenient button, become an expert. And here, let me zoom it in. So you can leave your details here and you can pick a number of topics of your expertise. You can even add an unlisted one. There is a dedicated field for it. You can add biography, picture, so basically provide everything that is needed for us to verify this information and to fill the expert personal card and to have it added to our database. Well, basically this is the key functionality of our platform. We keep adding more elements, more options. So far it's pretty simple, but it works. So if you want to see all of the experts, you can click right here And if we do want to find somebody, just like I've demonstrated before, we search by category, for example, urban sciences, and you click on the expert's personal card and you pass the floor to an expert. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be part of this database, to be invited here. It demonstrates trust to me. It means that probably I've done something in my life that I'm really entitled to be a part of this database. For those who look for the questions, to the complex questions, talking about me, talking about myself, probably I'll talk about myself more as an expert and how it can be useful in my own example. So as you click on my personal card, you can read my name, and again, it's a tip about what was said in the media request. You can Google my name to see whether I said or I've written something. You can see the range of my views, how relevant I am for a media policy of this or that outlet. So searching by the name, again, is already useful. It already gives you the idea that a person has left some information trace. Again, then there is my basic profile, which is sociology. I'm affiliated with the universities, so my basic occupation is a professor at the University of Shevchenko, sociology chair. So this is something to give you the idea what can I comment. I have a lot of affiliate colleagues, but it's important to understand who also works in this field, because frequently media may be asking some names which are being frequently articulated, for example, sociologists, and it seems like their number is very limited, but if you enter the database, you can see other sociologists, because those who are frequently counted may be tired because they are being inquired on a number of topics by different people. So being a sociologist, you cannot be an expert in everything related to the society anyway. And I narrowed down my interests and practice as a researcher, as an analyst, is urbanist and social space studies, and you can see it in the list of my sectoral expertise. So within certain period I was biased, I was initiating directly, or I was a part of the team of some research projects or applicable cases when the cities, the settlements were changing, and we had to understand what to do with the society, with those communities represented by the people, with that material. I can even put it like that. It may sound cynical, but as we work as a technologist who want to change this world, but recovery is the change of what used to be, not the reconstruction of all things, but probably creation of something new. And in this case, we have to understand what can be the role of the people here. We can use practical experience, but I would not rather reject all the theory, because all the theory is a result of practice, and probably you cannot research all the practice. If there is a person who can tell you, look, there is a very clever man or woman who said this or those important, maybe canonical things, for example, in architecture or in the art, there is such a word as canon, something that we rely upon, so let's better remember those rules. Then what's written in my card is the sociological studies and researches. So if you know how to use the results of sociological studies, you can ask the experts how to correctly promulgate the data to make sure that we avoid cases like it was previously, when a sociologist described the material and it created a wave of negative about how she decided to express their opinions. So to make sure that you avoid any accusations of distortion of any data, to render them in a mirrored way, to be quite the opposite from what was demonstrated in press releases. And the third thing indicated in my personal card, that another sector I'm aware of is sociological study of culture and remembrance. It's the sphere of my interest. I'm drawing my expertise, being familiarized with the text, with the theory, that I recommend not to still reject. And another thing is how important it is for us to rely on the principles of humanism, on human-centristic principles, being the fundamentals of our recovery process. So that's the sector in which I could provide some information about useful materials, useful personalities, cases when description of remembrance and culture are important. Thank you very much. I'm having a number of questions, including to you, Anastasia, as well. We're living in a time when the information warfare is quite intense in our society, just like everything related to media and information. And unfortunately, in my opinion, the term expert has gained some negative connotation, and probably it's our fault as well, because frequently the people who are very far from expertise become so-called experts, far from professional expertise. So an important question, we understand the database will be of demand for the media if in different communities, among different stakeholders, it's going to gain its approval, and professional community would say, yes, those people are real experts. So how do you select your experts? How do you verify that people are really experts in their topic? Who is involved in this process? I understand that there are two channels. First, you pick the experts by yourself, and another way is for the people to fill a card. And what happens then? Because we understand that it's quite a subjective opinion of that person. So can you give us a little bit more detail about the tools of verification? Exactly, this is our pain, because it's two questions in one. Our partners from the media from different regions keep saying that, okay, we work in Vinnytsia and we don't have enough experts to get comments from. And then on the flip side, how should we not make, so say, bad people famous? So from the very beginning, we were relying only upon, because we are practicing journalists as well, so we were relying upon our phone books, and this is how we recommended the first experts. Then we've professionalized this way according to certain procedures. So what are the criteria? This is what we've dedicated the coordination meeting with the partners that Maryna was talking about. We've developed those criteria based on which we've all agreed that such person can be considered an expert. In fact, today the expert database, in fact, is fully populated with the representatives of partner organizations of the networks, those organizations that have passed due diligence and those which, based on the mentioned criteria, have that amount and quality of knowledge that they can share, and they provide a commitment of being ready, because again, it's our internal request. As a recovery window, we provide them with opportunities, and we also ask them to make a step forward, to be ready to share their expertise with the partners, to empower each other. But in fact, today, thanks to this presentation, we make a step beyond our network, and we want to expand our expert database. We want to invite those for example, who are representatives of those institutions which are not a part of the network so far, or don't want to become a part of the network, but, for example, international organizations, but they want and can share that knowledge. And an important item here is that we make this process democratic. We ask them to fill this application to provide all of the information about them for our analysis, but also there is a quality check, quality control stage on our end. It's how we check the organizations that want to become a part of the network. We use the open monitoring tools using the available data aggregators. We also exercise reputational control. We ask other media organizations about this or that media partner, and this is what's going to happen to the experts. So this is our approach. And we also understand that the following steps in improving the expert database, it was already requested by our partners. Can we provide a rating system, like some stars, or when somebody is really inclined to help and others respond, for example, once in 10 times? So kind of to provide some feedback, something that is not existent in the expert database so far, but what we understand as a way for improvement. Thank you very much, dear colleagues, dear guests. Do we have any questions on the floor? In case you have any, now you get this opportunity to ask your questions. And Miss Anna, I would like to ask you yet another question. In one of the slides presented by Maryna, I've seen the list of what can help us consider a person as an expert. So to what extent does it resonate with you? Because as we're talking about the rate of quotations and availability, you know, it's kind of ambiguous. So how does it resonate with you? So availability of an expert, this is what you've mentioned. Sometimes it's really difficult sometimes to draw an attention of certain people on the part of the experts or the people that the media addresses. I agree with you that the status of the expert was a little bit distorted recently. Sometimes you reject, sometimes you think that you spent your attention in vain, but as you understand that you are being contacted through some organization, for example, they tell you, we found you through the recovery window, and that is the case when you don't want to reject, because the people are asking you because they were looking for you. It demonstrates a level of trust, the fact that you were really selected within your competence limits. I understand what you're asking about. Like, for example, if an expert comments on all of the requests, yeah, well, basically, if they do so, they don't have time to work. Well, yeah, it's the two-sided coin. Once the expert can provide a brief commentary, but to provide some holistic comment, you know, there was one position when an expert, the one criteria, something of concern to the experts, that they don't have enough time to prepare. But sometimes as you get this request out of the blue, you can be unfocused, you can be doing some other thing. For example, you have some home errands and not inclined to answer any global politics questions. So sometimes the experts should gather themselves to answer even a small question, to provide some even brief comment, or to remember some examples that don't come up to your mind like immediately, and then you regret for not saying that, and then you have to ask whether you have anything to add. Let me put it like this: you go to a TV studio and then after you leave, you're like, oh, I would rather better say something else. So you better give the expert a little bit more time, like to collect themselves, to come to the right thought. It's cool to catch them like immediately, but let's remember that even the experts, they need to focus their attention and to get prepared. And another question was the rate of quotations. So it's about what was said. It's important to understand that experts are people. They have their opinions. They are biased to a certain extent due to their personal views or their membership in some organizations, for example. It's normal. If you want to get different views, it's cool when you demonstrate different optics as a journalist. Like expert of this camp comments the situation in this way, but there is an opponent who says this. So if you can find some idea that can reconcile them, it would be cool to demonstrate it to the audience, even regardless all of the differences. Still you can find ideas that help you to coexist in different social groups. So this quotation rate is cool. You see what are the views of that point, or for example, maybe they say something to comfort everybody. If you want to find an expert who talks in some universal phrases that can be written as biblical canons, please, you can choose to pay attention to this person, but as a journalist you should be ready that this is that expert's quotation rate. So if a person is interested, they may Google an expert like what they were saying before. So again, it's important to see to what extent that person is honest in front of themselves, and are they experts in everything, or are they dedicated to some principles? Thank you very much, Nastya. One of your key audiences is definitely the journalists. So how do you plan to get feedback from them? To what extent this tool has become useful for them with time? And are there any algorithms already working? We definitely respect the profoundness and the niche nature, because if a person specializes in this or that topic, they can provide that profound expertise. And the responsibility of a journalist is to translate it into normal words. That's exactly why we urge everybody to join the expert community, this developing organism. And in the view of our specifics, of us being a network who joins local and niche media, our task is to find the most relevant application for your expertise. And talking about the target audience, right, just like Roman has said, this functionality with the context of contact details of the experts in the full version, it's available to the partners of the network, to those organizations specifically which are already part of the union. So we haven't disclosed it to everybody so far, because for us, again, it's an opportunity to provide such an additional weight to those high-quality media, and an opportunity to facilitate and to help them. So basically, this functionality is pretty raw, but we have an opportunity to analyze the number of requests. And as Maryna has said, we have coordination meetings with the partners, and we are open to this feedback. So how, what works, what requires improvement in this logic that we're offering now. And our task as a union, what was driving us to create this network was to help. We see that many media people have common concerns, and our task is to help them solve those problems. And this was one of the steps to do so. To add to the answer to your question, I agree with Nastya, and in any case, we are in touch with our partners all the time. We have a lot of joint projects. It's not like we have a partner, we added them to the network, and we're out of touch. We're always in touch with them, and we keep reiterating it to them. If you have any questions, if you have any ideas of improvement of our network, please let us know. I think that we've established trust-based relations, and they can address us at any moment. Thank you very much for this comprehensive conversation, for this wonderful product. Communication market was long in need for this project, and I hope it's gonna work properly shortly. We have a question on the floor. It's more of a comment rather than a question. I'm a part of the team of the recovery window, and what I wanted to add is that this availability question raised some concerns and questions. So the pool of topics for the recovery was really important. You know, such topics as architecture, energy is something beyond our competence. That's why we need experts who can explain it all to us in simple words, so to say. You know, DTEC and Ukrenergo, they were issuing the series of available materials. Why the power shutdowns? So this is exactly why we should ask the expert opinion, and then to tell our readers about this topic, to make sure that that material is read, not because people just scroll through it due to its very complicated nature. So that's one of our tasks. Thank you very much for your addition. Thank you for the interest to this topic. We have another comment or question. Thank you very much. It was a real pleasure to hear about a project like this, about such an expert database. I'm an architect. My name is Elena, and potentially I want to join the expert database. I started filling the application, but I'm having this question about the organizations that you represent. There is a window, the field I need to fill. So I work with the bureau and another company, but if I don't want to be a representative of the company, if I want to be an expert by myself, should I just mention that I work or I cooperate with organizations like this or that, so that people can understand what I do and they can see my works, the sphere, the sector that I represent? Yes, absolutely. This is exactly how we recommend to mention it. Why are we asking about affiliation? It's because a person, a specialist, can have a number of images, like Miss Alla, for example. She is a part of expert organizations, but she is also a professor at the university, so it's a number of roles. But definitely we ask to mention it as areas of your expertise, as your experience. It can be a standalone specialist, but still we're asking about affiliation so we could analyze it. It's important for us in case we have any doubts, you know, so that we can get in touch with the organization. It's a part of the quality control system. If an expert is on the database, the recovery window is responsible for inclusion of an expert in their database. Yeah, well, we are really flexible. You can add it or you may not do so. If people forget your name but they remember the organization, they can find you by organization, so it's convenient in terms of functionality. Thank you very much. And I'm having yet another question. So if I'm added to this database, what about time? For example, the request is coming, and how soon should I respond, or how frequently the requests could be coming, or if I can process one or two requests now, or I cannot work with other requests within the following month. So you mean how to plan the workload? Well, for the time being, we don't have any standardized targets or KPI because we understand the situation. Our goal is to ensure a balanced population of categories, because if you are too busy to respond, we want to have an alternative, but at the same time we've added this button. If a journalist can contact you directly, in our realities the journalists, they work with the materials in a conveyor mode and they need your response real quick. So if you don't provide response within a day, they can try to get in touch with you through recovery window. We will try to reach out to you through all of the available channels. But if you're too busy to respond now, obviously we are going to look for an alternative partner. So in fact now we have positive feedback about our expert database, but I couldn't safely say that it's going to be dozens of requests per month in your category of expertise. So we kindly invite you to join and then regulate your workload and plan it accordingly. Well, thank you very much. I want to wish you that the most experts, high-quality experts join your database, and to the experts, probably you may find additional opportunities using the platform. And I would also like to thank the security and defense forces, thanks to whom we have an opportunity together here. Let's continue working for a victory. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes.